both your moderator and panelist today and give you a proof that mentorship and visibility can actually transform careers. So today's conversation aims to highlight not just the challenges faced by the underrepresented groups, but also how CNCF is actively solving them and what more can be done in this direction. But before we start into the details, I would like to share a story why we are actually doing this. So I think many of you over here know that I'm a mother, and when I was on a maternity break, I learned cloud native technology. So that was like my free time activity because I was system admin before that. So I founded a company and developed cloud native backend for them. The startup did not survive the COVID period, and because of that I had to apply for roles. But then my resume got rejected, and everyone told me, or at least some were humble enough to tell me, that they do not take people on career break, or they do not take jack of alls. So it's like I was navigating careers. It was very difficult for me to come back. In that period, I cleared Outreachy and contributed to open source project called System D, where I was involved to contribute to the Linux code and work in C programming. So you can understand now what happened here. What did I need, or what any person who is on a career break or a maternity break needed? An opportunity to showcase their skills, and a CNCF backed initiative actually gave me that opportunity, because of which I am here today. So this panel today brings together women of different stages of career. You will hear their perspective from someone just starting out, or someone mid-career like me, or someone who is in a very senior leadership role. So the goal here is to share a range of experiences so everyone in the audience can relate to, or someone's story they have heard in the past and can learn from. And I hope by the end you will find a way to contribute also. So let me introduce to our amazing panelists. I'll start with Fatima first. Fatima, could you introduce yourself?
Can you hear me? Yeah, great. So hello everyone, I'm Fatima Zaveri. I'm a technical communications leader at Pure Storage. I've been with that company since a year. Before that, I was at VMware for about 15 years, and yeah, I've been happy to be in this technical space for a long time. Now, being from VMware and spending so many years there, I didn't have an opportunity to work so much with the open source community. It's just that my projects were not aligned that way. And now, being with Pure for a year, I can understand the value that the open source community brings in, and the platform that CNCF kind of provides. Meeting people from the CNCF community has been an eye-opener, and it really makes me feel that this community screams of inclusion. There are so many projects out there and so many opportunities for people from different technical backgrounds to contribute, that it just screams of that, and in that context, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, thanks a lot. Next, over to someone who has just started and already has a bag full of open source contributions. Anushka.
Thank you so much, Sonali.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So my name is Anushka Saxena, and I work at Google as a software application development apprentice. So I am a recent graduate. So I've been active in quite a lot of student communities, from where I got to know about data on Kubernetes, and from there on I started to get to know more about CNCF projects, how they work, how I can contribute, and there have been quite a few projects that I have contributed to till now: the Glossary project, the Conveyor AI, and recently I have been contributing to Micro CKS. So looking on to two amazing women in the panel, I really look forward to this conversation today.
Thank you. Thanks for joining you both. Now, I don't want this to be a very traditional type of boring panel discussion. We just came out of lunch, so I don't want anyone to doze off. So the next thing that I want you guys to, or I would request you guys to do is, this is a QR code that you guys can scan. The questions that we will be discussing are already there on the screen, and we would like you to give your responses about what you think. It's a yes or no simple quiz. And once you scan, I'll start the quiz, and we can see going on the questions that we have added, how the things have evolved and what our panels think about those things. Okay, so if you could guys scan this, I'll start the quiz. Is everyone done scanning? I'll just close this. Oh, people have already started to answer. That's a good thing to see. I think, yeah. So this is us. I'm sorry we were at another screen while trying out a few things. So this is our first question. Does barriers still exist for underrepresented groups to fully participate in a cloud native ecosystem today? So we would like to give your responses while we discuss this with our panel members. So this is sort of a foundational question that we have seen, that what does a truly inclusive cloud native ecosystem look like, and what barriers still exist for underrepresented groups, especially women out there, to participate fully in today. And since you have heard my story, it was not an easy cup of tea for me to navigate through and hear that, you know, you have a career break. So I can relate to that question personally, and I think in the audiences many people can. So I would like to ask Fatima to share her input about what she thinks, the challenges and what has changed. Yeah.
Okay, for me, inclusive environment is one where people can be their authentic self, right? They don't have to pretend to be somebody else. They don't have to, uh, hide something that they are not, accustomed to, or they don't want people to know about. The other thing also is about being creative in a technical space, right? I come from a technical communications background, which is not about engineering. It is about telling people how technology works. And when you look at the projects on CNCF, and I can also relate to what Ram said earlier, right? Like people contributing to CNCF from an engineering point of view. But there are lot more other things that can be done. You can do program management, being a part of the community. You can write content, or you can just you can provide an environment or mentor people so that they become a part of the community and the community grows as a whole. So CNCF by nature, the platform that there is, it is very inclusive, and I think it is on the people as to how they can leverage it. I think people need to be a little more brave in contributing to the community, and put in a little more effort. It's not about attending conferences every month or month or so, but actually continuously engaging to get the full value out of it.
Exactly, exactly. I think I agree with Fatima on this, because Anushka is an example who has leveraged from all this. So Anushka, could you share what challenges you think exist?
Sure. To be very honest, in the beginning, I used to think if this whole diversity thing is really about inclusion, or just that industry needs more engineers, so they're including everyone. But eventually, as I get into the industry, I have got to know more that it is just not about including people. It is about letting everyone who use technology on a daily basis to get into the table, to get a platform to speak about it. And for me, a cloud native ecosystem where it is as inclusive as possible, there should not be a need to have some fancy background or the right college or the right connections. It should be just the minimum requirement should be having a curious mind and an I can do it attitude kind of. So for me, inclusion would be when I walk into a team call, I'm not the only woman saying, hi everyone, I'm the only woman here. So it would be for the underrepresented groups to be normalized, being in the workforce, and making them feel that they have someone like them to look up to in the same team.
Exactly. I think we all can agree on that. The count is definitely low, and if we are brave enough to leverage from these opportunities that exist already out there, we can address many more challenges. And I think from past 3 years, we have seen such opportunities coming forward where we can pass and bypass those challenges and do a lot more and benefit from CNCF. We'll move on to our next question, which is, okay, I think. Sorry. Can I change? that it doesn't lock. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'll change from clicker. Sorry for that. So, okay, I think we need to move to the previous one. This was the first one, right? So I think from the numbers that we see here, it's many people think that it's a no, but coming from a background of coming from a community of underrepresented groups, I think I am happy to see that the people believe that we have been able to bypass, but there are still challenges out there. So yeah, we'll move on to our next question, which is has CNCF initiatives. Okay. Has CNCF initiatives and mentorship programs changed your career trajectory or those around you? So I have been personally impacted because of a CNCF opportunity, and Anushka was a part of 02 Merge, which is again a CNCF backed opportunity. So I would like Anushka to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I've been a part of different mentorship programs, but an exceptional one was the CNCF 02 Merge program. This program was basically aimed to actually teach you how to make contributions to an open source project. So normally what we do as students, we will just start doing contributions for Hacktoberfest and all things like that. But when I got into this program, I got to learn how do you start contributing actually. Like each week we would sit together, we would go through a project, it's a repository, we would check how it actually works, we will understand the code flow, go through each file, how it is working, all of that, like the real core stuff. So that made me to think in the right direction while starting contribution, how to raise issues, how to fix the existing ones and all of that. So all of these things basically led me to gain more visibility and eventually find where I can contribute better. So I think that was a big turning point.
Yes, exactly. And such turning points actually help someone to build their career or come back to workforce. And similarly, there is one more opportunity called Outreachy, for which I was the part of. So coming from a break, even though I was actively working on a cloud native technology, I didn't have something to showcase on my resume because I did not have a job offer, right? So how will you tell someone that I had a company just because we couldn't survive COVID, we didn't get the funding to continue, we had to shut it down. How will you tell that story on a piece of paper? Okay. So when I was applying for Outreachy, they didn't ask me all those questions. They just asked me, how have you been treated differently? So I wrote an essay, and then when they reached out, okay, you have been selected, you have to make a contribution. So they gave a list of projects, all open source. And there were technical projects, there were non-technical projects. They give you enough time. It's called a contribution phase. And the cohort, there are two cohorts, summer and the winter. So one can apply, contribute to open source project in that phase. Now the good part about this phase of contribution is you can actually identify, we all saw the CNCF landscape, how much big of a puzzle it is to find out which tool you want to contribute. So Outreachy at least gives you a handful of projects from which you can go ahead, find out that, you know, these are the good first issues that I can contribute to. Now they also provide for each project a mailing list or a Slack channel where you can join, reach out to the mentors and ask them questions. Okay, I'm trying to get started with this project. How can I do it? And then they navigate you to the technical documentation that is there, or they help you with the starting steps. There are many people out there who are ready to help, right? So they'll give you those first step, they'll help you at the first step, and then once you start, the first PR that you raise, I think anyone who has raised a PR to an open source project can understand that feeling, that how you, yes, this is my
first PR merged.
Getting that first PR, yeah.
That gives you that confidence that, okay, I belong here, I can do something better, I can create an impact.
Exactly. So that feeling is in itself very good. But these are like, so how Outreachy turns out was, once I completed my contribution phase, then at the same time there are many contributors like me. There are non-technical projects, there are technical projects. Once this completes, they give you a full project where you have to work. So I worked on suspend and hibernate, which is a command on Linux. So again, this was all hardcore programming. Now this is not the only way to contribute. There are other ways also. I think Fatima spoke about this earlier, that coding is not the only one. The other one is the technical documentation. So let me move on to the next question, which is around this. So what are some meaningful non-technical pathways to grow within the ecosystem, and how can we value these contributions more visibly? Since Fatima, you have been working with the technical documentation, could you share more about it?
Yeah, see, during our recreational reading, right, we all like reading murder mysteries, right? No, that is how technical documentation is right now. You are not able to kind of figure out a storyline with technical content. It is very cryptic. You really need to read a lot of disparate pages to actually make sense. So I feel that there is a lot of scope in improving content around how open source is written. So I think that's a very valuable place where people can make a difference and contribute, and it kind of benefits the community as a whole. So there is a lot of value that can be added through this contribution there.
I think, Anushka, I remember you also worked on something non-technical. Could you talk about it?
Yeah, I started my contributions from Glossary project. So those who don't know, Glossary project aims to simplify the cloud native terminologies for the people who are starting, for the people. Still, we have a lot of terminologies that have to be, they have a term for it. We don't say translate, we localize the terms into different languages. So I worked for one where I had to localize terms from English to Hindi. And these things may seem small at first sight, but they build that community culture and they bring that diversity into the cloud native space. So in CNCF, we celebrate all of the contributions, no matter how small they are, from which domain they are. So that is the thing I like the most about.
Exactly. I think anyone who has worked or started working on any open source project or CNCF project, you can even write blogs for CNCF and they are featured on CNCF blogs. It's a good feeling. I remember my first blog when it was on CNCF. I felt absolutely good. I think whoever has that talent, you should write content, and along with content you can also develop courses. So recently, I think last year, me and Atul, we created a course called Mastering Kubernetes Security with Kyverno. It's LFS 255. It's with Linux Foundation. So it was not a code-related contribution, but it was more on a semi-technical end where we were trying to do POCs. And we wrote policies, we wrote a document related to how you can get started with Kyverno, and then moving steps, one step ahead, where you can customize certain things, and then you can integrate Kyverno with various other solutions like observability or CI/CD. So this is not a 100% technical code sort of contribution. There are other ways also, like writing a course. So there are many ways by which you can give back to this. So this is my way of paying it forward. From what I learned from Outreachy, it's my way of paying it forward to the community. So I am happy to see this kind of response where everyone agrees that there are non-technical pathways. So drilling further down on this, now we all know that there are technical, non-technical ways to contribute. What about flexibility? So we'll talk about the work structures. So cloud native work is naturally remote and asynchronous, but not every organization has embraced it. I think many of us were forced to come back to office after COVID. So how can flexible work arrangements like remote work, asynchronous collaboration, or flexible work hours help retain more women or caregivers and people from underrepresented groups? Fatima, since you have been into the hiring thing, I would like to hear your thoughts.
See, it's a no-brainer, right? Like flexibility will definitely improve women's retention in the workforce. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because not all organizations can afford giving this flexibility. Different organizations have different thought process. They're in different stages of their organizational journey. So if we are looking at a company which is small, trying to grow big, in their strategy, this flexibility doesn't fit in, right? Like flexibility is luxury. They have to really be competing in the market to offer that luxury to the employees, but certain companies which are smaller can't do that. So I think as women employees, if you're looking at flexibility, then you need to choose those organizations who have such a structure in place. You can't go into an organization expecting that structure to change, but you need to be aware of that structure before, signing up for working for an organization. Because once you sign up, and then you can't argue about it, because the structure is that way, right?
Exactly.
So you
exactly.
trade off on what companies you choose to work for.
Exactly. I think this is what I can relate to, because when I was starting to look for roles after outreach, so I have already showcased my skill if you think from that perspective. Now when I'm applying for job, I have a responsibility. I already have a full-time job of a child. So now I have to think from that perspective, that I have a full-time role at home. Now I want to have a career also, and I am skilled enough to work in an asynchronous, flexible way. So when I was applying, thank you. So when I was applying for roles, this is what I always mentioned, that I am looking for a flexible role. But as soon as someone got to know that, they would immediately end the call. So when I applied for infra cloud, I am not saying it from marketing perspective, believe me. When I applied at infra cloud, they were ready to hear me out. So this is what the organizations, HRs, I think they could do differently, because in my case, they did do it. They were ready to hear me out in terms of what is my expectation. And then they also explained me the role, that, we are actually looking for jack of all. And if you are ready to work in a flexible manner, we are ready to give you that. So 2.5 almost journey I have covered with them. So it hasn't been a day where they have even come to this discussion that you need to come to the office. I have been working in a remote fashion happily. We have asynchronous discussions, we have calls, we maintain everything by a document, we have daily sync ups. So because of it, I was able to even manage my household activities, manage my son, put out most of the fires, and then even work. So overall, this has allowed me to contribute back to the community in a meaningful way, and put this message out that yes, we can do, if the workforce is made flexible. So yeah, like Fatima mentioned, while choosing the organization, one has to be very careful about the discussions that you do. Don't just fall for it. So let's zoom out a bit, and we have spoken about, the headcount is low at meetup and conferences in the past also. I think Anushka will agree with me that we have attended enough conferences to say that. So it takes an effort actually to submit a talk, to go to a conference, you prepare a talk, and then you have to take a day off also sometimes when your organization is not in sync with what you want to do. So what role does companies or community leaders play in reinforcing the CNCF inclusions effort, and where do they are falling short, or what they can do better? So Fatima, what do you think?
Okay, leading writers, right, who want to contribute to community, who want to excel in their area of work. I think as a manager, I take up that initiative of putting it as a goal for them, right? So if you, as a manager, if you have team members who are hesitant because of time constraint, that you see the potential that they'll be able to contribute and make a difference, and they're not doing it. So I think one trick is to set it as their goal, right? So if they meet that goal, they kind of have something at the end of the year to look forward to. So I think that's my subtle way of pushing people forward and kind of making them a part of the bigger community. It is an effort, but it has long-term impact for short-term period.
For short-term period, correct. So Anushka, since you are new to the community and you have been working for quite some time now, and you have been at Google, if people didn't get that. So because of your open source contributions, you were able to do it. But what do you think? What do you think in terms of what your organization can do things differently, or what they have already been doing differently to support the efforts of CNCF?
I think working at the home of Kubernetes is something that I would have to mention. But I think it's more about letting people pursue something outside their work, because not many women are privileged enough to get the time out of their daily chores or something to get onto something like submitting CFPs, as you have mentioned. It takes a lot of effort. So letting people be more flexible to doing something other than their work, which is again technical or doesn't matter, but it would again add to the
confidence of them. Yeah, definitely. And we have seen the power of representation. I think the last KubeCon India that happened was a classic example of that, and I'm happy to see that the attendees are thinking that the companies and community leaders are actually playing a big role, and they are putting in effort. So today I think many of the organizations that we are seeing as sponsors, they are putting in efforts, Red Hat and all the organizations out there. So this is a good addition. Now we talk about the power of representation in the community. At last KubeCon, when I went there, I met Divya and Nikita. They both were the co-chairs of the last KubeCon. And the coming KubeCon, I think Bhavani is there. So when you see those women out there, you see they are a powerful example. So what do you think this kind of representation affect the retention and long-term engagement for contributors from diverse background?
See, I come from a family who are not in the IT industry, right? So I've never seen my relative group or my peer group in the IT industry. So for me, when I stepped in, and I mean, I didn't know whether I can relate to it or not. But then when I came in, I saw that my manager was a woman after 2 years, right? So that kind of made me think, yeah, okay, so you don't have to be a man to be successful in the industry. You can be a woman, you can have feminine attributes. I mean, that kind of adds value. I think women make very good managers. So when I saw that you don't have to be different to fit in, that's when I thought that yes, it can be possible for me to have a continuous journey here. And then I had people to show me the way. And now I think it's time to like kind of show people the way also. So yeah.
Exactly. I think, Anushka, you were at last KubeCon as a speaker. That was your first KubeCon, if I'm correct, as a speaker. So, what does power of representation mean to you?
When I see the powerful women like you, like Fatima, and seeing women co-chair such a global event, that too, which is being held for the first time in India.
Exactly.
It just doesn't make me proud, but it feels like I am invited. I can do something that I'm seeing. So that gives me that confidence, and seeing the underrepresented people in the leadership positions, of course, gives that boost to your confidence. And talking about my own experience of speaking at KubeCon, I didn't have much experience, as the people who were there, like the real OGs who built the tech that we all are using. So, but still I was given a stage to express my views, to share my experiences. And this is what I think makes CNCF the most powerful community ecosystem.
True.
I think representation is not just about giving a platform, but it is about who gets the courage to show up because of that representation.
Exactly.
And I feel very fortunate to be someone who looks up to you all, and
yeah, thank you for that. So I think the fact that you mentioned that it gives a lot of confidence to anyone. I remember I was going for a January meetup which was happening in Chennai of FOSS. That was my first talk when I gave in 2023, I guess. I was so nervous, and when I went to give a talk, the whole audience was male. There was not a single, I was the only speaker woman and the women in the whole room. So that I know you cannot relate to it, but believe me, when you see such a crowd, there is a feeling that comes naturally. I am the only woman. Oh. So it's very difficult to explain sometimes, because you want more women out there, but you can't say much about it. Right. So, when I ended that talk, from that day I made a promise to myself that whenever I'm going to give a next talk, I'll use so this is my first women inclusive talk. But before this, whatever technical talks I have given, I made sure that I use the first 30 seconds to spread this message across, that when you are hiring, make sure that you focus on inclusion also. I'm not saying do it from a charity perspective, but always keep that thing in mind, that career break or someone who has not got an opportunity, what if you take a chance, they can make it to somewhere. And then me and Anushka, I think we met at last KubeCon, which happened in India, the first one. When I was walking up to the stage, even though I had spoken at previous meetups, my legs were still shaking. because the stage was so big, the auditorium was so big, just to stand there and talk was in itself, even though I was prepared, I felt like I'm not prepared. So that kind of exposure when CNCF is giving you, they are giving you, why? Because I was active in a working group, which is application development working group. Right now, CNCF has restructured the working groups, but at that time it existed. So they gave us this platform to go there to build those confidence in us, and now today we are actually talking about it. So I would like to conclude, and I think we are on time also. So I would like to conclude on the lines of Namrata Hinduja, who is a member of Hinduja group, that women bring a distinct strength to leadership, one that is intuitive, other strategic and resilient. So the world is ready for this kind of change, and we must ensure that we support and nurture the next generation of women leaders. So thank you to our panel members for such insights. If there is one thing we hope you take away today, it's this, that inclusion is not charity, like I mentioned. It's a strategy, and the CNCF has been creating pathways, but it takes a lot of us, like the contributors, the maintainers, the companies, to walk those paths together and support each other. So I purposefully skipped my introduction in the beginning when I introduced these guys. I have been working as a developer advocate with InfraCloud Technologies, and because of CNCF, I have contributed to Kyverno, TestCubes, the System D open source projects. I have created a course which is LFS 255. I have written an N number of blogs which have been featured in Cube Weekly. Right now I am working on a technical documentation project, and because of why? Because CNCF was kind enough, you can say, to just not hand over the opportunity as a charity to me. They gave me that much platform to showcase my skills. So I would like to share the QR code which is there on the my laptop. So which I would like you to guys to scan once, so that you can get to know the opportunities that CNCF has. So it's this. When you scan this, you can reach to this page which shows how you can contribute to, you can remember it from contribute to CNCF. It talks about how any beginner can contribute to a CNCF project, what all internships are available. Believe me, in 2019, I did not know Outreachy existed. Someone told me, and I got to know via a GitHub repository that Outreachy exists. So there are like many opportunities. Another one is Zero to Merge, of which Anushka was part of. Then there are, I think Ram also showed the CNCF landscape. There are tags and there are community groups. I am an active member, organizer, and a community member of Women in Cloud Native. And I got that opportunity because of last KubeCon where I met Bhavani. So we have been doing monthly webinars where we try to keep the speakers as women. So there are, you can be a CNCF ambassador. You can contribute to all these projects. And you have like a non-code section also over here. So CNCF is a large space, and it is putting in a lot of efforts to drive inclusion. And we encourage you to explore CNCF mentorships, trainings, and open source opportunities, and help someone from a non-traditional background to get their start. So if you are in that position of hiring or leading, be intentional about inclusion. Let's fix this leaky pipeline together. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sonali, Anushka, and Fatima, for that very insightful panel discussion.